Allie with the Potomac Bead Company, and I am going to be showing you a new design with the newest StormDuo bead. These earrings, which I'm calling the Lucy earrings, will feature the StormDuo and some 8mm round gemstones, and then whatever beads you want to decorate along the top. We'll be learning how to decorate the sides of the StormDuo, how to figure out the directionalness of the duos, how to do some simple wire working, and how to end the actual project burning off the thread and adding on that second row as we progress almost in a peyote style, adding 2 rows of our StormDuo beads. If you need any of the materials to build these Lucy earrings with me, you can go below the video to the little date stamp that says when the video was produced. There's a little button there that says show more or a down arrow. You can click on that to get the full list of the materials that you need, as well as links to purchase from us at potomacbeads.com and potomacbeads.eu. To get started, we are going to be using some thread and needle, and then we'll go into our wire working. So you want to have all your tools handy, your thread zap, your wire cutters, and your round nose pliers especially. So go ahead and get ready with your materials, and we will begin the Lucy earrings. So to begin our Lucy earring, I have my needle on my 2 feet of thread, and I'm going to put a stop bead on the needle. What that is going to be is a bead that is going to eventually come off and just has enough of a tail that I can hold on and tie a knot. I'm going to put the thread through there 1 time, and then we're going to pick up a 15-0, and we're going to begin going around our faceted 8. Pick up your faceted 8, 1 of your 15s, and then we're going to begin picking up the original 7 of the StormDuo beads. We then add 6 after that as it progresses down further. You can keep going if you want to. I just like kind of the shortness of this kind of fiesta fun earring. The first 7 beads that I pick up, I'm going to pick up in a row, going through the thin side of the StormDuo first. So I'm going through that point so that the point is going to face off always in the same direction to the right hand side. So once you have on 7, I have 4, 5, 6, 7. Once those 7 are on, you can let those drop down next to your actual 8mm bead. You can also see here how they stack next to one another if you do them in a zipper pattern, so that's kind of fun as well, almost looking like lilacs. We instead are going to bring them around in a circle, and to do so I want you to add 1 more of your 15s, sew through the 8mm bead. That's going to bring all of those beads almost like a sun rays to the side. We are going to then sew back through all of those first holes of our StormDuo. So you're reinforcing, going back through all of those same beads again. What this is going to allow us to do is tighten that thread, make sure that we don't have any extra exposed, as well as get us in a position to step up to utilize the second hole of the StormDuo. So now that I am out that first StormDuo, which was actually our last StormDuo, I'm going to decorate the side. To decorate the side, we are going to be using 4 15-0 seed beads. So I think the gold goes really nicely with that Lila Vega. On go 4 15s, and we're going to go from the innermost hole to the outer hole of the StormDuo. This is considered a step up because we're stepping up to the second hole. Now we're going to put on our StormDuos so that way they're facing the opposite direction. So we originally went through that we were going through the small end first, coming out on the bump. What we're going to do as we go around this way is go through the bigger end first, coming out the small end. As you come out the small end, we're immediately going to decorate the side of that with 4 seed beads. Sew through, stepping up from the bottom hole to the top hole. And this is what gives it kind of that waving effect, is that we switched the direction of the actual StormDuo bead. On go 4 more seed beads, and then you're going to go back through that same StormDuo that you just added, and not going through any of the seed beads that you added, go through the second StormDuo for that initial row of 7. Give a nice little tight pull. Now again, we're going to pick up going through that thicker side or that thicker end, pick up 4 seed beads. And I know this is nice and simple. I just really loved the way that it looked and the way that it kind of stacked. You can see that the seed beads don't really fit there. They almost hide underneath one another, and that gives it movement and looks more like the bottom of a flower. I was going to keep adding on, but I really liked the short nature of it. I also thought that it would look really cool if you put a head pin through and actually had this so the flower was off to the side like that, coming out of the right side on the right ear and the left side on the left ear. You could just put a head pin right up through the middle for that. So a number of different ways that you can take this technique. 4 more beads go on, back through the StormDuo that you're working on, and through the next one in line. When you go through the StormDuo that you're currently seed beading, you're going to give a nice tight pull so it kind of tucks up in there, and again that thread gets hidden. Through the next one, tuck that kind of underneath, and we proceed again. So now again, through that bigger side, 4 seed beads on, and you're just continuing the same thing down to the bottom hole. Nice tight pull, getting that in place. 4 more beads on. And as you put those 4 beads on, then go back through the one you're coming out of, making sure that you're not catching on any seed beads. If you want it to lay a little bit down, you can sew on that seed bead on one side before the StormDuo, and then go through the first seed bead on the other side. Give a nice tight pull, and you can see that's where that kind of stacking starts to happen by the time you add the third. I'm going to go in and add 3 more StormDuos, and then I'll show you how we're going to take the thread and needle up the side of that 7th and final beginning StormDuo. So I'm out the first of my StormDuo beads, which is going to be the last one that I go through. So that's bead number 1 originally from the 7 StormDuo rows. You can see I have that nice flowing action. I have the 13 StormDuos on, and I'm going to kind of decorate the side here. To decorate the side, just like we started and have been doing, we're going to add 4 seed beads. 1, 2, 3, and 4. Pick up the 15 that's already there on the design, and you're going to sew through the 15, through the 8mm faceted bead, through the 15 on the other side, which is going to be right next to the stop bead. And once you go through that bead right next to the stop bead, you're going to bring your needle out, making sure you're not sewing through the stop bead, because you don't want to have that as part of your project. You're going to be taking that off. And then I'm going to sew through the 4 seed beads that I originally added on the side here. So I have the 1 bead that we added, keeping that stop bead kind of off to the side. And then we're going to go through again these 4 beads that we originally added. And as I go through those, then what I'm going to do is, to finish off the thread, go down that same StormDuo bead that you're on from that second outer hole, and kind of push my beads out of the way there to do so. So through that second hole, reverse the thread as if you're stepping down from that step up that we just did. Bring the needle and thread out. At this point then you can slide that stop bead off. And I'm going to take the needle and thread, sew through that first bead there. And what that's going to do is bring the stop bead out, or the thread out right near the stop bead thread. I'm going to tie a knot, right over left, left over right. If you want to, rather than using wire and jumping in and doing some of the wire twisting at the end here, you can make just a V with some 15-0 seed beads going up the side, keeping this thread rather than tying off That is up to you. I like the look of the mix, and that's why I'm doing that. So I have my 2 knots here. If you want to, you can grab some pliers. Make sure you've got a nice tight pull on that knot. Grab your thread zap or your thread burner. You're going to heat up the thread burner before you actually go in and touch the project. It's kind of the key with the burner. So I'm pulling up those 2 ends. I'm going to press down, heat up, burn those edges down, and then come back into those little tiny pieces there and burn them flush against the project. That will be the back of my project, and then this will be the front. So you can see you have that nice flowing action, almost with a right and a left bead as well. Now you're going to want to pick up your wire. So I have some 26 gauge wire here. You could use anything down to 22 actually, and it'll still go through the bead because you only have 3 pieces of thread going through. I'm going to push those seed beads off a little bit to the side that I went through, and sometimes you have to kind of wiggle it around a little bit so you're not going through the seed beads with the wire. I'm going to push those seed beads. I'm going to go right through. This thinner gauge wire, this 26 gauge, is going to be easier to get through to some degree than like the 22 gauge, 24 gauge will be about the same. Mine wants to keep hitting on that seed bead, so if you have one side that it keeps hitting on the seed bead, you can actually just go in from that direction instead, moving that seed bead off a little bit and sewing through. That wire will come right out the other side. And this wire that I have is just a piece of 26 scrap wire that I had already kind of cut. If you are doing this by itself, you're going to look at about 3 inches. If you want to do some swirling around the top, I suggest having 5 inches of thread, or 5 inches of wire. You're going to have a short piece of wire that's going to cross over the longer piece. You can hold with your round nose pliers, or you can just go right above the bead, kind of up to you. And I'm going to take that shorter end and simply twist around the longer end. If you need more help in this, I have other YouTube videos showing how to wrap a briolette. That's going to use the same technique. I'm just going to do 2 turns there with my short piece of wire, and then take my wire cutters with the flat side down and trim off that extra. From here then, I'm going to pinch my little wire in, grab my needle nose pliers here, pinch that little bit of wire kind of in towards the project. From here, I'm going to make a loop. This loop can then be your attached ear wire here, or in my case, I'm just doing a wired link, making my loop. Again, if you need help with any of these things, there's more in-depth videos to do this eye pin. And then I'm going to take the extra wire after and wrap down. Again, this is on that briolette video. Wrapping down and just really doing a freeform wrap. I'm not even worrying about if it's over top of itself. I'm just doing a nice freeform wrap. And I'm going to take it down and wrap it so that it matches the distance on the other side. I don't want it to be perfection. I want this to look organic. Once I have that wrap finished, go in with your wire cutters, cut off that extra wire. The inch or so, the 2 inches that you have left, mine's a little bit shorter because remember I didn't start out with that big piece. I'm going to use to do my link. To start the link, I'm going to make my eye pin. Again, check out the other YouTube videos if you need help making that eye pin. Slide it onto my little Lucy StormDuo earring there. Gonna wrap that around 2 times, 1 and 2. Cut off that extra wire, and now I have my eye pin complete with my wire there, which I can tuck in with my needle nose pliers. And just in case you do want to know, I'm using the Sparkle tool set. I prefer this set because it's nice and fine. Put on my little glass bead here, that little lampwork rondelle, which is going to actually go over the top of that coil. And then at the top, bend the wire to the side. Make my eye pin nice and close to the bead. Hold that wire there and start to twist. And I like to use my own wire like this, and with this thin wire I always want to twist around and do that coiling. After I have that twisted around, I'm going to cut off the extra wire, bring it over here, and you have your Lucy earrings. All you have to do now is attach them to some ear wires and you are completely finished. Thanks so much for watching, and have fun if you get a chance to get your hands on some of these awesome StormDuo beads. I love the flow and the directionalness that they get, especially in this design here of the Lucy earrings. You can wear these and they'll have a lot of movement on the earring and give you kind of that spring look with that blooming flower. Again, if you need any of the materials, to shop with us at potomacbeads.com or potomacbeads.eu. Below the video, there's a little list and links provided for you to make it easy for you to just click and add to your cart. As always, you can subscribe to this YouTube channel to get regular updates on videos, as well as product launches and cool things happening in the beading world. You can also stay connected with us on all of our social media and Instagram and Facebook, as well as on our Facebook group for beading and jewelry making. There you can show us your latest design of the StormDuo, answer questions, help out fellow beaders, and really enjoy the community that we have set up around the Potomac Bead Company brand. As always, thank you for watching, and have fun creating with the StormDuo beads to make the